welcome to The Content Bite, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter, and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Australian writers and other creatives.
And I'm Lynn Testoni. I'm a journalist and a content writer as well. Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we're bringing you all kinds of tips, tricks, and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business. This podcast is sponsored by our good friends at Rounded, easy accounting and invoicing software made just for Australian freelancers and sole traders. It's everything you need to make freelancing easier. Find out more at rounded.com.au.
Also, if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, Rounded is giving you 20% off an annual subscription plan. Upgrade to gold membership for all the details. Hello, Lynn. Hi, everybody who's out there listening. Welcome back to The Content Bite.
Hi, Rach. It's lovely to see you again. And I'm so excited about our guest today. We've had so many great guests lately. It's really good.
We have, yeah.
And she's a bit of a hero of mine. She's so talented and such an interesting person.
I know. It's amazing. We are chatting to Debra Oswald. We're going to drill down into her experience as a freelancer and a writer. And I'm just going to share a little bio first for Debra, which is pretty amazing, by the way. Debra Oswald is a writer for stage, television, and fiction. Her first play was broadcast on the ABC when she was just 17. She's written multiple books, TV shows, and plays, from Police Rescue to Bananas in Pyjamas. And in 2008, her Stories in the Dark won Best Play in the New South Wales Premier's Literary Awards. She created and was head writer of the Channel 10 drama series Offspring, for which she won the 2011 New South Wales Premier's Literary Award and the 2014 AACTA Award for Best TV Screenplay. Her novel Useful was released in 2015, followed by her novel The Whole Bright Year in 2018, both published by Penguin Random House. And her novel The Family Doctor was published by Allen Unwin in March 2021. Debra's one-woman stage show, Is There Something Wrong with That Lady?, premiered at Sydney's Griffin Theatre in April 2021. Oh my goodness, you've been very busy, Debra.
Hi, Lynn and Rachel. I'm just enormously old. So if you started young and you didn't stop, you tend to sort of, pump out quite a few things.
You certainly did start young.
Yeah.
Goodness me, your first play when you were 17 on the ABC, that must have been a pretty amazing, achievement for you.
Yeah, it was. I started writing when I was really little, before I understood that it wasn't a thing that people did. And I sent a play to John Bell when I was 15, saying, "Hello, dear Mr. Bell." I think being a naive little person probably got around my self-consciousness that I would probably have now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As you get older, you sort of let go of some of that stuff as well. Do you think?
Absolutely.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So you started writing, you just had this call to write when you were really young, and that's sort of where you started. How did all of that evolve for you and to this point, to where who you're writing for at the moment? I mean, did you go and have training and go to uni and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I finished school and I went away to university and did lots of English literature, but all the while I was writing radio plays, so I kind of supported myself through uni writing radio.
Wow.
And when I finished uni, I did a year at the Film and Television School.
Yep.
And basically I've never had a regular job ever.
Wow.
And I think I've probably survived financially, but also emotionally, by jumping between different media. So I've written television, and I don't write theatre anymore, but I used to write theatre. I used to write radio and then television, and then really since my late 20s, I've also been writing novels. I've got 9 children's titles. So
Wow.
I've sort of always had a number of platforms I can jump to, and that stops you going crazy. Well, sorry, you be the judge. I am crazy. It means that you're still functional. Let's put it that way.
It must be really interesting to jump from scripts and radio and TV scripts and that sort of thing to novel writing. How do you manage that? Is it do you keep it very separate, or?
I don't think of them as hugely different, because the process of creating a story that's going to be interesting and characters that you care about and finding the right word is the same, no matter what medium you're working in. The politics of the worlds are different. That's the main thing that I feel.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I wouldn't have maybe had the courage to write novels, except that a television script that I'd written that died that got euthanized came to the attention of someone at Oxford University Press who said this would make a good children's book. So that gave me, I already had the story worked out, and it gave me the courage to write it as a book, and that got me going. So the process is the same. The difference is when you're writing novels, you're all alone. You know, it's much more solitary. And compared to television, which is incredibly collaborative, and the fun of that is that you get to discuss ideas with other people all the time. But the bad side of that is that you have to be answerable to other people.
But you've got the best of both worlds. You kind of immerse yourself in the solitary world when you're writing a novel, but then you have that collaborative world when you're doing the scripts. It sounds amazing.
Well, Rachel, it would if it worked out perfectly all the time. I mean, the trouble is, you know, you have so little control over when something will happen and if it will happen. I was saying to a young writer the other day, you're at the mercy of so many things. The only control that we have is to write. That's the one thing we can do that no one can stop us doing. And sometimes that's enough to stop me being in despair.
I saw your one-woman stage show, which I loved recently, and it was very candid, and it explored really about the unpredictability of writing for TV. There's this moment, I don't know if I should spoil it, where you have all the scripts that didn't see the light of day, and I found that heart-wrenching as a writer. So many wonderful projects that never make it to air. How do you cope?
Yes. So it's funny because in the show, the pile builds up. And some of my writer friends who came to see the show were quite triggered by it. There should be a trigger warning for writers. And it was interesting because non-showbiz folk, civilians, were horrified and thought, surely that's not how it works. And all the showbiz folk were going, yes, that's how it works. Look, I don't cope very well at all. I mean, I've seen a psychologist. I mean, I haven't for a while now, but there was a period of time when I saw a psychologist a lot just for dealing with the work, just for dealing with how do you keep your sense of self afloat when other people are either telling you your work is not good enough or ignoring you, which is almost arguably worse. The only solution I can think of is to always have a project that is mine, that is a love project, where the timetable is up to me, so that when I'm waiting for people to get back to me, which would be the case for, I think, a lot of freelancers, wouldn't it? In all sorts of fields, is to always have something that I'm in love with, that I'm working on. So I think, oh, well, that's good. I can, this is, you can hear the self-delusion in my voice.
No.
That's good that I'm still waiting, because it means I've got more days to work on my lovely new novel or whatever it is. So that the kind of flow of your creative self has agency, is not entirely decided by outside forces.
That's so true. That really resonates with me, because there is this, it's a real skill, isn't it, as a freelancer, to kind of divorce yourself from your work and not let those rejections that happen so often affect you, and just to keep pushing on and keep pitching and all of that sort of thing. It's really hard to do, no matter how long you've been writing for.
I think it's almost worse the longer you've gone on, because there's kind of like a reservoir for sort of absorbing all that stuff. And there are times when I'm full. I'm full up with that. And because I'm so enormously old, the kind of sense of blue sky, the sense of, oh, well, if not this one, then the next one. I don't have the life expectancy to have that delusion. So it's got to be this project happens, or maybe that's the end. And I can say that and sound like I'm ready to give up, but my husband could tell you that I've been saying this for 30 years. I keep going.
That's good.
Do you find like that you get something out of mentoring writers? You mentioned that you were talking to a young writer. Is that something that you do? Do you get contacted a lot?
Yes, I it's sort of in all different ways. Like kids sometimes do my plays at school, and I love if they find me, if they've got the gumption to find me, I respect that, and I will write to them or whatever. Then there's sort of younger writers in the television industry who I have sort of got a connection with, because you've got to suck the life force from young people. It's the way we keep going.
Yes.
And I
can relate.
I do volunteering work with Story Factory, which is an organisation based in Redfern and Parramatta that does workshops with all different ages of kids in sort of disadvantaged schools.
Yeah.
And there's a group of kids that write novellas, like they write 10, 20,000 word novellas, and I work with them a bit, and I love it. I love it.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit about how episodic TV works. How much is completed at the commissioning stage and how much is sort of finessed along the way?
Yes. So using Offspring as an example, that was a sort of, I don't know, a 20-page document that was pitched everywhere and rejected for 4 years in the dead pile.
Oh my God.
Then it got its chance, and I had a very short period of time to write the pilot, so a 90-minute pilot. Yeah. And I wrote that on my own. And then once that was made and we were commissioned, then we set up what's called a writer's room. People might have heard that term. It's sort of quite common knowledge now. It's interesting. It's the way people are sort of understanding the working. Yeah. So that would be me and a group of writers and the producer, and we would just spend several days sort of talking stuff through.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of each series, I would write a kind of blah, blah about what I thought the main arcs of stories should be.
Yeah.
And then the two guys who were the other main writers with me would spend several days really just chatting. And then you sit down and you plot an episode over maybe 2 days with the writer who's writing it and the other people who are part of the creative team. And then that writer goes away and writes their episode.
Yeah.
You don't write together. You plot together, and you have a big whiteboard, and you write a million notes, and you write each character, and you sort of work through the beats of an episode. And then someone writes that draft and brings it back, and then you all look at it and see if it kind of fits with the episode before and the episode after. So it's sort of a mixture of individual writers having their head and the head writer, in my case me, kind of making sure that it's all making sense and holding together.
Yeah, in the cohesive sort of story arc, sort of a big picture. Yeah.
And how often would it be that you would get a draft episode back and you would think, God, they've really gone, off-piste on this one, and it's not at all the kind of dialogue I envisaged or that sort of thing? Does that happen a lot? I
was very lucky on Offspring because the two guys who were the other writers were extraordinary. It was their first television credit, and they were I was very lucky. They were very talented, funny, great guys. You would occasionally get we would always have new writers every series. We would make sure that several episodes went to writers who'd never written the show before.
Yep.
And usually that would work out fine. Sometimes it wouldn't, and it wouldn't be that those writers weren't good writers. If you think about it, trying to get the tone of a show that you haven't created, that's not come from you, is quite a big ask.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's true. It's probably true in all sorts of areas of freelance work where you're having to kind of, finesse your style to suit the thing you're writing for or whatever the brief is.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't work out, and it doesn't mean that somebody isn't a good writer. And so you would sometimes just rewrite little bits and make it work, and other times you would have to do what's called taking the script in-house.
Oh, okay. Wow, it's sort of interesting. You've worked in different sort of genres, like Offspring, and you've worked, you talk police rescue, and you've done quite a few others. Is it hard to sort of set a tone for each thing, or did some of them you come on when the tone was set? Yeah, so police rescue, I started on series 2, and then wrote a lot of episodes all the way through to the end of the show. In some ways it was interesting, because in some ways that's easier. Rescue was old school television where it was story of the week. Yep.
A few serial elements, a few sort of relationshipy stories would run, but it meant that a writer could be themselves. I would tend to write the more emotional episodes, and someone else might write the more actiony, plotty ones. So you could kind of let a writer have their head in a way that now that shows tend to be 6 or 8 hours of one story.
Yeah.
The writers are very much in the service of the head writer or the story runner. And I think it's more difficult for new writers to get a chance. I feel quite sorry for new writers starting out now.
I just want to go back to Offspring for a minute, because you're creating those characters. How much input do you have? Like, do you have ideas in your head of who will play them? And do you have input in all of that as well?
Yeah. So with Offspring, I wrote the original document with no one in mind. Once
Mhm.
I was writing the pilot, we knew it was going to be Asher Ketty and Kat Stewart,
Mhm.
which is I'm not complaining. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's
Like,
good.
Yeah.
and it's one of the things I loved about working on, because I did 5 series with 13 episodes plus the pilot, so that's 67 hours of television.
Wow.
So you get to watch the characters develop over time, and you start to write for what those actors are really good at.
Yeah.
And occasionally with some of the guest actors, you would write around their weaknesses.
Mhm.
And sometimes we found it inspiring because, for example, the dog got arthritis, so we had to kill the dog. Not in real life. No animals were harmed. But so we had to, in story terms, kill the dog.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And at first it was terrible, and then we thought, well, this is great. Actually, this gives us all these options. And Kat Stewart got pregnant, so we sent her to New Zealand. And we shot a lot of scenes with Kat holding very large handbags. So sometimes those kind of external random things we would use.
Yeah.
But in a more serious way, watching a person develop over 5 series, because people don't stay the same.
Yes.
And the things that have happened to them are a part of the residue that's in them in the next series.
Yeah.
And that's very satisfying to write.
Yeah. It must kind of take over your life a bit, a series like that.
It did, but in the most delightful way.
Yeah.
I miss it. I miss it terribly.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like having a second family, sort of one where you're growing and this really close. I'm sure it's very close.
Yeah, and the two, and Michael and Jono, who wrote it with me, were, we were a gang, and I went to Melbourne for sort of part of every week for 6 months of the year. And look, just at a sort of girly level, it came at a point when my children had finished school.
Yes.
And that could have been a time of terrible grief. I don't know about you, but my children growing up, I was sad, because happy for them that they've survived to adulthood, but it kind of bridged the gap for me.
Yes.
In a way that was was very fortunate timing.
Kind of distracted you from what might have been.
And gave me a sense that my life wasn't over.
Yeah.
That I had
new things to do.
Something fun to do, yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Was it hard to leave a series behind, particularly when one has been as successful as Offspring, or is it exciting to start something new?
5 series, we thought it was time to end it.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times can we see that woman cry? There's a sense in which, particularly with a family series, I think it runs out of oomph. It's not like Police or Hospital or something where a new disease can walk in.
Yes.
And that was supposed to be the end. And 18 months later, Channel 10 decided they wanted to make more. And I and one of the other main writers said, no, thank you. So they made 2 series without us. And I don't regret that at all.
Yeah.
I've never seen them, and good luck to them. It's nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I was kind of excited to write. Like, I wrote Useful, my first grown-ups novel, towards the end of Offspring, because I was kind of charged up, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I worked on, you would know Lynn from seeing my stage show, I worked on a whole lot of new projects and wrote quite a few pilots, none of which happened. So I was kind of charged up to go again.
Yes.
And it just didn't work out. Probably if I was in America, there's no way a success like Offspring would not have been answered with opportunity.
Yes.
But we're in Australia, and it's very small, and it's just how it goes.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we've talked a little bit about your novels, and I want to delve into, something that a lot of novelists we've had on the podcast have talked about, and that is making a decent living writing fiction. Has that been your experience, and do you need to do all the different things that you do in order to cobble together a decent living, because fiction just alone wouldn't cut it? Or
no, I don't. My most recent book, The Family Doctor, sold pretty well.
Yes, I've read that. That's pretty dark.
Pretty dark, darkest thing I've ever written. Good fun though. I don't think you can make a living writing novels unless you crack a Jane Harper or a Trent Dalton.
Yeah.
But most novelists I know have spread themselves a bit and get grants and whatever. And I guess television's always been the way I've made a living.
Yeah.
Although, to be honest, theatre, because I've written so many plays, and one of my plays is going on again at Ensemble next year, a play I wrote 20 years ago, and amateur companies and school companies do my stuff all the time. That's a little trickle of income.
Yeah.
So that's
DAGS was quite a big one.
DAGS
is that on the syllabus?
Yeah, Dag's paid off our first house. I mean, not really, but I like to think that it did. So you can have these strange little kind of little trickles of income. I mean, but I mean, I would hate to be supporting a family and paying a mortgage relying on novelist income.
Yeah.
But arguably, to be writing novels full time would be bad for your mental health. Like, there's something quite good about being forced to kind of engage with the world in different ways.
Yeah,
that's never been a problem for me because I've always spread myself across everything.
Yeah. I like that too, because you don't get bored. There's always something new and a different thing that you're tackling.
Yeah.
It is interesting. So you've been writing for a few years now. So tell us about some of the tips and habits. How do you keep going? And because you are pretty busy most of the time, what are sort of things?
But a lot of that's self-generated.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to be disingenuous about it. So if I wanted to write lots of episodes of television on other people's shows, I could be really, really, really busy.
Yes.
I don't want to write episodes of other people's shows now. Like, I think I did that for many years, and I think it's an honourable, great thing to do. I'm old enough now that's like, come on, like,
Yeah.
So almost everything I do is self-generated. So if one of the shows that I'm pitching at the moment got up, well, then I would be Mrs. Busy, and you would never see a happier person.
Yeah.
I love being busy. So I have to set myself other kinds of targets that come from me. And I think that's one of the things that can be quite draining as a freelancer, that you're kind of constantly pulling it up from yourself.
Yes.
Like the timetable and the discipline and the motivation and the self-belief. And that's the thing that, not the work. The work I love it. If I'm busy, I'm really happy. It's all that other stuff, that different kind of work that's hard. I have a very patient partner who will listen to me bellyache and listen to my ideas.
We all need one of those.
Yeah. or a friendship or a writers group. I know some people have that. Yeah. I have a notebook where I write notes all the time. I have done morning pages in the past, from the Artist's Way. I haven't lately, but there've been periods in my life when that's been useful.
What's your typical week like? Do you do the same thing each, like have a routine, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, if I had a show in production, it would be different.
Yes.
But when I don't, it would be cup of tea in bed, read the paper, walk the dog.
Yep.
Be at the computer by not really early now because of walking the dog. 9 o'clock, I would work till lunchtime. And I sort of, what it's like as a freelancer, you sort of construct these little timetables for yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
You have this, you give yourself permission. Then there's exciting moments like hanging out the washing. If I finish the end of this scene, I can hang out the washing. I'm very excited about that. And then in the afternoon, I would either keep working if I was on a roll, but if I've had a really productive morning, if I've written hard for 4 hours, then I can go to the supermarket or go for a big walk or go and have a cup of tea with a friend or whatever.
Yeah.
I at one point realised I was spending just too much time alone because I haven't actually done television in production for a while. It's just been writing scripts and novel. I've enrolled again in Spanish class just so I can be in a room with humans.
Yeah.
I look after my grandson 1 day a week, so that is the best day of the week. And not everyone, I can't advise everyone to get their own grandchild, but but in a way, what he is for me in work terms, I mean, he's everything to me, but in work terms, he's this incredible dose of perspective.
Yes.
And I think it's really great if you fit that into your life somewhere, into your week. So for me, I go to Spanish lessons with a whole lot of people who don't give a flying whatever about writing and the industry. And then I spend a day with a 2-year-old where the excitement is that we found a bug on the pavement. So, I mean, I know it sounds a bit wet and like a desk calendar, but it is good to kind of reset yourself and think, oh, yes, in the end, none of that stuff matters.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And hey, do you always, if you are writing and that's the part of your day that you're doing, is it always at home or do you sometimes need a change of scenery?
It's usually at home. We built a mud brick house in the bush and I find working there really great, partly because there's no internet and no mobile.
Yeah.
So I'll take my laptop and run it off solar and get a lot of work done there. So that's really great. And occasionally I'll take pen and paper to a cafe, because I do think it's good not to be de-skilled,
Yeah.
not to be so dependent on computers that, because I started in the days when it was all typewriter and what I call manual word processing, where I used to tear up little pieces of paper and glue them together and photocopy it, and that was word processing.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I remember doing that too.
So it's good. It's good not to be de-skilled. But sometimes once I'm excited about something and a story is cooking and I'm in love with the characters, I'll get into bed and be reading a novel before I go to sleep, and I'll suddenly get an idea and I'll grab my phone and send myself an email. So because I can't let myself get up and go to the computer, because then all is lost. I'll never get to sleep.
Yeah.
But I send myself an email, and then in the morning I read these notes I've sent myself and think, what?
Are they genius or are they terrible?
Sometimes they're good. But you know what? When you're excited about an idea, everything in the world seems to connect with it.
Yeah.
When you're
so
cooking
funny.
a new idea, everything you look at, every little detail a friend tells you in a story, you think, it's like the world is conspiring to help you.
It's a bit like when you're pregnant and you just spot pregnant women everywhere.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes. For sure, I get that. Yeah. So how and where do you find your work? Is it all because you've been doing it for a while? Is it mostly word of mouth, or?
Yeah, it would be at my age, it would be word of mouth. Yeah. I mean, occasionally I do, my agent and I will think it's time we need to sort of shake things up. So people approach my agent with work offers, and although I don't particularly want to write on other people's series, I love storylining. So my friend Michael Lucas, who wrote lots of Offspring, writes The Newsreader.
Yep.
So I'll go and help Michael with the storylining. So he and I'll be in the story room with him talking about the story for The Newsreader, and I love that.
Yeah.
So I'll do lots of that. So people will contact my agent, and I'll say yes or no, and do days in story rooms, which are incredibly fun and good for me to kind of be out in the world talking to other people.
Yeah.
And then occasionally I will go and see, say, 4 or 5 producers that I don't know very well, and sort of just have a general meeting and maybe pitch them a few ideas, just to kind of keep myself across the new people who are out there.
Yeah.
So the 2 television projects I have in the works are both with Joanna Werner. So, I would contact Jo and say, what do you think about this? And then if she likes it, then we'll work on that together. So it's sometimes me approaching a producer that I want to work with. And then with books, I tend to want to write a fair bit of it before I go to a publisher.
Yeah.
So I've got 50,000 words of something ready to show now.
And do you do that through your agent, I presume?
Yeah, I'll do that through my agent.
You mentioned earlier about how, if you'd done Offspring in the US, the opportunities would have been vast for you after that, because it's such a bigger market. And here it was a bit tricky. But you've also said that you feel for writers starting out because it's sometimes hard for them to break in. So what's your experience? Do you find that people really respect your experience, or are they looking for that new thing, that new person with a new idea, or a bit of both, I guess?
Yeah, I think a bit of both. I mean, with novels, the love of the debut author is out of control, I think.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want people to get their books published, but I mean, it seems to me it makes sense that you get better, that somebody's 5th or 6th book is likely to be better than their first one.
Yeah.
But people love the narrative around how something was written, the idea that you were 40 and wrote your first book and there was a international bidding war, and people love the narrative about how something was written.
Yeah.
Nobody's interested in a narrative about someone who's been writing since they were a teenager and has just keep plugging away, which is me.
Yes, they are.
That's not very romantic. So the romance of how somebody got their first novel published and, blah, 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 that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And then there's a bit of that in television. In television, there's a huge interest in new voices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, that's important.
Yeah.
The trouble is that means pushing out because we have a small industry. It means pushing out some people, and the risk is that new voices get a chance, but when they're not ready, they don't do a great job, and then they're pushed aside for the next new voice. Like I feel like we're doing a disservice to new writers by not bringing them along more carefully. I get asked a lot to come in and help in story rooms where there's people who are less experienced, and I really enjoy that, and I'm happy to do it. Sometimes it feels like if that's all I'm doing and I'm not getting my own material made, then that's pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah, I can see that.
I feel like I'm at the height of my powers. And I want the chance to get my work out there.
Yeah.
And look, you never know. something I write might get up.
Absolutely.
But there's just no way of knowing.
What are you working on at the moment?
So my last book, The Family Doctor, is now a television project. There's a pilot. It's pretty tough going because it is quite dark.
I could see it would be powerful, though it would be good, yeah.
It's funny because some of the people in the US said, oh, we really love the script, but we want something that's more aspirational. and I said, look, I know a lot of women who'd really like to kill men. So arguably, it's aspirational for us. Anyway.
That's really selling it.
Look, there's a chance it'll get made in Germany because the Germans love dark stuff. So, and then there's another project that I've written a pilot for that's much more light and aspirational that is being, we're about to start pitching it.
Yeah.
There's this new thing in television where you have to do these kind of half-hour floor shows, like in
Yay.
and it's like, wow. Okay. And these very fancy pitch decks, these very fancy kind of visual graphic things. And I mean, I don't mind. Like I don't mind talking, but there must be writers for whom it's torture. Anyway. Yeah. And then I've got a new novel that I've written that's going to be quite a long one. So I've written 50,000 words of it, but it's going to be a long one. So I'm now at the point where I want a publisher to say yes to it before I write the rest.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Fantastic.
Wow. And then you said the show at the Ensemble, which one's that?
So next year, an old play of mine called Mr. Bailey's Minder is going on at the Ensemble with John Gayden in the lead.
Oh, wow.
And then just after that, I'm doing another run of my show, Is There Something Wrong with That Lady? So I'm doing 4 weeks at the Ensemble in September next year.
Oh, fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah. Let's see if I survive.
I just wanted to go back to the plays, because one of the things I can see, particularly in the era since I've been going to the theatre, there's not many female playwrights in Australia, are there?
I think there's more now. I mean, it's a thing that I talk about in the show. I think there was a critical point for me when there really weren't any.
Yeah.
And it's one of a number of reasons why I don't write theatre anymore. Like, it's just too hard. But I think things are better than they were. I mean, the problem is there's just too few Australian plays. I mean, no other country in the world has subsidised theatre where only a third of their season will be new work. Yeah. New Australian work. It's all classics, foreign work, and even some of the local work is actually adaptations of classics.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird, isn't it, really?
It is, yeah.
So it's one of the reasons I think my old plays keep getting done by companies, but not by professional companies, but by schools and amateur companies, is because there's not many Australian plays out there. Yeah. You know, in a way. But like when I walk my dog, there's 2 other Australian female playwrights who are in our dog park. And sometimes I say, there's not many in Australia, and here we all are in the same dog park.
Yes. Oh, goodness.
I love it.
But we do ask all our guests about their tech tips. Are there any digital tools that you use and recommend? What sort of programs do you use?
Oh, nothing fancy. Just Word, and scripts are all written in a software called Final Draft. Which is really good software, and anyway, you've got no choice. Like, you're expected to deliver your work in Final Draft, but it's actually good software too. No, I think that's all I have. I feel I've let you down. I feel I should have some. I mean, here's a low tech tip.
Yes,
I'm a big believer in file cards, so I will. So I do file cards on the dining room table with every beat of what I'm working on.
Is that how you map out a plot? Or
yeah, and it's probably partly a hangover from television, where you have everything on whiteboards. But I just think sometimes it's good to shake your brain up in terms of methodology. So even just the process of getting up from the desk, going to another room, laying the file cards out on the table, kind of shakes stuff loose. Yeah. And before I've even finished doing it, I've got the solution to the problem I wanted to look at. Yeah. Sometimes just the act of writing out the file cards is the process. So you're constantly trying to trick yourself, aren't you?
Yeah. See things differently. Yeah.
Amazing.
And look, the other thing I'm a big believer in is talking stories aloud to people.
Yeah.
And I think you could do this with all kinds of writing. I think you could do it with a feature article. You could, if you tell someone, I'm writing this article about blah, we're such natural storytellers, oral storytellers, that you tend to adapt what you're saying in response to the facial expressions of the person you're telling at some level that you're not even conscious of necessarily. And sometimes I find myself solving problems and filling in gaps in story when I tell the story out loud to, say, my partner.
Yeah.
So I know sometimes people have this voodoo that you shouldn't talk about something when it's not finished. I think it's worth trying.
Oh, that's interesting.
No, I love those strategies. Is there anything that you'd like to mention for anyone who might be thinking of a career as a TV writer, or any advice you'd have? Final words of advice?
Oh my God. Find some good colleagues. Like, I have a writer friend in England that we Skype constantly and send each other work, and it probably helps that we're in different markets, so we're not, in the same industry, but we are. Find good friends and keep them, and be kind to each other and read each other's stuff and listen to each other's ideas, because you need these little sort of things to hang on to when there's floodwater coming through of various kinds. And always have a love project. Always have one on the go.
Amazing. Oh, Debra, thank you so much. This has just been a fascinating
I hope it wasn't too negative.
Gosh, no.
I'm a bitter old lady.
You are not.
No.
This has just been brilliant.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Thank you so much, because I think it's inspiring, because you've always been a freelancer. You've always worked for yourself. You managed to find work, and you're still, as far as I can tell, pretty sane. I like that.
Look, I don't know how. I think it would be very hard if you'd ever had a real job to become a freelancer.
Yeah.
Like my little taste of having a real job when I was part of Offspring every day was so delicious.
Yes.
I would have thought if you'd ever had a workplace, giving it up would be hard.
Yeah.
Like it would be hard. Whereas I've never known any other life.
It depends on the workplace.
True.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Amazing.
So thank you, Deb, for being our guest this week. And that brings us to the end of the show. So thanks to everyone who's listening and sharing us on social media. And don't forget to leave a rating. But Deb, tell us where people can find you, because obviously we can go to the ensemble. Maybe we'll put a link to that with your shows next year.
I'm on Insta, and I was going to say Twitter, but probably that doesn't exist by the time this goes out. My most recent book is with Allen and Unwin. I'd be on the Allen and Unwin website.
Have you got your own website?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm very low tech.
So if we're looking for you on Instagram, you're just under Debra Oswald.
I think
on Insta.
I am. Yeah.
You think you are?
No,
hunt it down.
So Ensemble and Allen and Unwin would be the places to find me at the moment.
Brilliant. Well, thank you again.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Lynn and Rachel.
Yeah, we'll put the show notes in the podcast app. Head there to find out more. And as always, thank you to Rounded, who do user-friendly invoicing and accounting software that's made just for freelancers. Nice. Actually, yes, very nice. And Rounded and Rachel's List and the Content Bite have all joined forces at the moment on a great Christmas competition where you can win an Apple Watch or a host of other great prizes. It's really fantastic. So please head to the Rachel's List Instagram for more details and to enter.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rach.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.